Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. This rather lengthy question comes to me from Donald KX8X. Interesting call. He is asking about something that I mentioned in one of the Ask Dave print articles. Now, if you've got, say, on two trees, you've got a pulley, and you wrap the rope from the antenna and that comes down, just the rope, and that holds your antenna there. You've got to take into account when the wind blows and the trees could go in opposite directions. And so the question is, do you put a mass at the bottom of each, or do you put a spring? I say spring, and I'll tell you why. You have to put something that is mechanically reactive, because it needs to both store energy and release it. So that means you don't want to put like a shock absorber or something in there, because that actually takes energy out of the system and releases it as heat. It might be interesting to think that both mass and tension, spring tension, are the two reactive, real physical components. They're like an inductor capacitor. They store energy, but they don't keep it. You put energy into it, it comes back out. Okay, now let me show you why I would avoid the mass. Here is a tree. Okay, another tree. My wife's the artist, not me. Okay, so you got a pulley. Somewhere up here in one of the branches, you've got a pulley. And over here, you've got a pulley. And your antenna stretches here. Now, rope will be a little bit here and here. It'll run over the pulley and down. Okay, so what do you put on the ends? Now, if you put a mass on each end, first of all, you've got to somehow pin this thing so that it doesn't just roll one way or the other, but that's okay. You can do that. Now, here's what happens if you're in a violent windstorm. This tree goes this way. This tree goes this way. That shortens this length, and the mass will drop. Okay? It'll drop. When the wind pushes the trees apart, it'll pull the mass up. Okay? Now, the problem with mass is it has inertia. If this happens very quickly when this is down at the bottom, it'll pull the mass up. The mass can go beyond its resting point to where you have loose rope as the tree goes in the other direction. And then the mass will come banging down to where it should be, and it could snap that wire. Okay? That's not a very happy thing to do. So my suggestion, you can use bungee cords or screen door springs or whatever, but you'd put a spring here. Now the thing about a spring, there's no inertia here. So when this thing starts to pull on the spring, fine. It just increases the tension until that thing holds very well. Now, when it goes in the other direction, okay, in this direction here, it'll be pulling string back down. Again, there's not a big thump in the middle to cause that wire to break. So that is why I suggest springs, and you can use bungee cords or whatever. If you do, get a piece of plastic pipe that's the right length and put the bungee cords inside there so the ultraviolet won't get to them and ruin them. Okay? And you can get black pipe. You can get 3-inch and 4-inch sewer pipe. They go up there very well. You can just tie it to the tree and so on. And give it the full run of this thing with the springs fully collapsed to the other way. Now, if the springs do fully collapse, when they start to go the other way, fine, the spring just acts like a spring. It doesn't have inertia, which causes things to go fluid. So there you have it. That's why we can use springs in that particular spot, and it can give you a lot of good luck with that. The other thing that you can do, of course, if you're just desperate to use mass, like a bucket filled with concrete or something, get an incredibly thick piece of copper-coated steel called Copperweld so that it won't snap when that thing comes down on it. I was driving through the Navajo Nation a few years back. They had a railroad that goes from the big coal mine down to the coal-burning power plant in Page. This was one of the ways the Navajos made their money, was by operating both. Well, it's been taken out now, and you can still see that it was an electrified railroad, and the thing that held the wires taut was a mass, a piece of concrete. Now that works because the poles don't move in the wind, and this thing is just keeping the thing taut. And any little wiggle in there will be plenty that can handle. But that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about trees. Trees move, sometimes substantially. When we use trees to support the ends of antennas, we don't go up above about this height. If you go up this height, you can walk under the antenna from here. Otherwise, if you have it down here, right there, your favorite guest, garroted. Okay, there you go. I hope that helps. Tell me how it works out. And in the meantime, please become a member of this channel. It doesn't cost very much at all. And until we next meet, 73.